Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ponless Challenge Run, the live stream series where we are trying to complete a hat in time while collecting as few pawns as possible. And if you want to watch these challenge runs on your own time, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and boot that bell button to stay notified. And when we last left off, we managed to complete a whole lot of different levels, as you can see here. We completed most of them, surprisingly, ended up being in Subcon Forest. That's, we almost completed all the main levels in Subcon Forest in one stream, which I honestly didn't expect because, I mean, some of the levels are pretty easy, but others might be a little more technical, like the Subcon level, but it was all a lot of fun. Hey, Copper Nicholson, thank you so much for dropping by. How's it going? So, another big deal that happened last stream was we managed to actually reduce the pawn count for one of our previous levels. So, if you guys remember from an earlier stream... Oh, hey JJ Sparks, thank you so much for dropping by. How's it going? As I was saying, if you remember from an earlier stream, it took us 4 pawns to beat the Owl Express, but thankfully, one of our chat members, Rekor, actually, he went back onto Murder on the Owl Express to see if there might be some ways to reduce the pawn counts. As it turns out, there was. So, what ended up happening is we managed to reduce it from 4 pawns down to 2. Now, unfortunately, I don't know how to avoid those last 2 pawns since they're both in front of doors, and that kind of forces us to collect them. But it's still far better than we were at before, since Murder on the Owl Express seems to be like a critical level for us in order to even be able to get Subcon Forest without, while collecting as few pawns as possible. Oh, Copper Nicholson. You're not doing so good? What happened with that job interview at Copper Nicholson? Oh, JJ Sparks, you're working on some outfits for Chiaki. Nice. I'm assuming Chiaki from Danganronpa 2, right? Now, I am planning to do a very important level tonight, but before we do that, there are some time rifts to do, so we might as well get those out of the way. So if I'm remembering correctly, we should have access to these. We just need to do any particular level, so let's start here. It is Danganronpa 2. Awesome, KK Sparks. If you don't mind me asking, what kind of outfits are you drawing for Chiaki? Alright, we're at 7 pawns. Oh, okay, Copper Nicholson. So it's not like you... So you haven't heard back from your job interview. You're more concerned with what's going on in the United States right now. And that's, yeah, fair enough. I mean, what's happening in, the United States right now is, of course, very, very bad. But I do think that things will get better, and that we have to keep looking out for each other and being supportive of one another. Now, as for your job interview, Copper Nicholson, the best thing I can say is it's out of your hands, so no matter what happens, it is what it is. So, my view would be no, there's no value in worrying about something you have no control over at that point. I mean, you've done your best, and that's basically all anyone can ask of you, right? Oh, cool, KK Sparks. You're drawing a Phantom Thief in a Hope's Peak uniform. That's nice. Fair enough. Now, let's see here. We need to get over there. I'm just trying to remember where the foxes are from this particular section. They have to be around here somewhere. Oh, might as well get that rift token while we're at it. Glad you agree, KK Sparks, and yeah, I'm sure Copper Nicholson's going through a hard time, so any support for them is always greatly appreciated. Hey, there you go. That's the spirit. Positive attitude. Good job, Copper Nicholson. I'm glad to hear you don't have many cabinets. And hey, Shiny Golden Lotus, thank you so much for dropping by. How's it going? I agree, KK Sparks. The atmosphere in Subcon Forest is so spot on. I think you put it best. It's spooky. It's not like so spooky that it's now a horror game, minus Queen Vanessa's Manor, but it is. It does get that sort of ethereal kind of vibe to it, especially with like the hands coming out of the swamp and all other things. Read a message as Hack Kid. Boop. Oh, sorry. Boop. How is that, Emoji Maker 55? And thank you so much for dropping by. How's it going? You're just working on a video, Shiny Golden Lotus. That's great. Unfortunately, I have to reset the level because we accidentally hit a pawn there, but it's all good. Yep. Boop. Or, better yet, I can actually have Hack Kid say that, so let's just, here we go. There you go. Yeah, how's it going, Emoji Maker 55? Right now we're trying to do some time rest before we do a major boss battle. Let's see here. But in order to reach these time rests, we need to find the foxes. So if I'm remembering this right, the foxes should be maybe over here. There's some yarn, so that's... I see a spoder. Thankfully, they don't drop pawns. Nice. Now we just need to find them foxes. Should be around here somewhere. One thing I will give props to the developers with Subcon Forest is it is way larger than, not only way larger than Mafia Town, but it's also just way larger than all the levels that utilize it. So there are entire areas of the forest, like this area over here, that are not mandatory to go in, or at least most of it is almost never used. So I think it's cool that there's like an exploration factor to this area. It's just, there's verticality to it too. You can see up there in the trees with all those platforms. Really neat. Glad to hear you're doing well, Motivator 55. And hey, Snowflake, thank you so much for dropping by. How's it going? Right now, I am on a quest to find the foxes because we need them in order to unlock some of the other time rifts. The problem is that, or not so much the problem, but because Subcon Forest is so big, it's easy to get lost or not know where things are. There's one. That's what we're looking for. Alright. So all we have to do is see if we can get past this without collecting anything. Cool, Snowflake. Thank you very much. I take that as a compliment that you were, that you didn't want to miss it, so glad to have you here. And just hanging about, I'm guessing didn't have anything to do or anything to work on. As today was pretty mellow, I didn't do very much besides begin to work on a song for my game as well as do, I did a little bit of storyboarding because, okay, how do I describe this? I was having a pretty restless night for whatever reason. And because of that, my mind was just thinking about one of the areas in my game, which involves like this little seaside town. And for whatever reason, my mind kind of drifted to sort of a Prince and the Paupers kind of scenario, and it made me actually rethink one of the major characters I had written and how they fit into the rest of the world.
You'll come with me.
And so, whereas previously I had them kind of set up to be in like this kingdom to the far west of the map. Now I've almost changed their character entirely to fit in with this smaller seaside town to give that town a bit more weight. And I think I have a lot of rewriting to do with this character, but I'm definitely excited for it because I can still keep the basic premise of them, which is that there are some kind of like scout or explorer, but also have them bring more attention to one of the other areas of the game, because I was very heavily leaning towards a kingdom I was writing about. Oh, thanks, Snowflake. I'm glad to hear that you like that. Yeah, music design is, how do I describe it? It's using software to create music, of course. Cakewalk Studio is what I use. I think that's what it's called. It's free. Last time I checked, and it's a very effective piece of software. But what's interesting about it is it's very much composing. I think composing music is the right term, because you have to. Well, I mean, what I like to do is use a piano roll and try to compose based off of notes like you'd have on a piano keyboard, while using various synthesizers and music libraries to actually create different sounds. Like oh, forgot about these things. The Weeping Angel enemies are very, very dangerous. You turn away from... Oh, no, I don't want to die. Oh, dear. Sure, I can turn the game audio down a bit. It is a bit loud now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, believe it or not, this game has Weeping Angels, and it's, try that. Alright, chat. I lowered the volume a little bit. Let me know if that's better or if it's a little too quiet. But yeah, there are Weeping Angels in this game, as you just saw, chat. They are very vicious. I thought maybe if I just looked at them, they'd stop, but nope. Oh, that's a good point, Emoji Maker 55. I did not know you could stay on the fence. I thought it might, like, hurt you, because it looks like it's spiky, but thanks for the tip. If I'm not mistaken, I think we have to do all... Do we have to do all 5 again, or is it just the 3 we didn't get last time? Okay. It's almost like that. Alright. Cool. Glad we got the audio sorted. But yeah. Oh. But I did do a bit more work on my game, I guess, yesterday, because I was chatting with some friends and while doing some art assets. So it was mostly trying to get a sitting pose to work for Dorothy and another character I mentioned, Chandra. So I managed to get working in all 4 directions for both of them, and I felt pretty satisfied with what I accomplished there. Because I am not the best at drawing human figures, and this Weeping Angel is trying to kill me again. No! Go away! Did that get rivet? No, it didn't. I phased into it. No. Alright. If we've learned anything this stream, it's that is that the Weeping Angels are OP. I don't think you can destroy them, they just chase after you, and then that's basically it. So, for anyone in stream who has actually faced those before, and if there is a way to defeat them, let me know, because it is getting somewhat annoying. They're over here. Yep. Oh, that's interesting, KK Sparks. You're trying to draw a little persona of yourself. That's cool. I can understand that sentiment, though. Like, you've created so many different characters and personas. It's hard to choose just one, right? But at some point, you have to commit to it, and that's, I guess, part of the process of character design, is that you might have a bunch of different ideas for a character, or for even, like, a self-character, but at some point, you gotta commit to some idea. So, what I like to do in that case is... And here we go again. As I was saying, what I like to do in that case is I try to weigh, like, pros and cons of different character designs, and whichever one comes out on top, that can help narrow things down. Maybe make a little list or a chart. And if you want, even, like, weight the value of different aspects of a character's design. What's that? There we go. Oh, good question, Snowflake. So, what other assets do I need? Do I need for the game? A lot. But, to answer your more specific question about some kind of healing animation, yes, absolutely. Dorothy will need a healing animation. I don't think it'll be eating, per se. Because much of Dorothy doing anything involves this book she has called the Manifest. So my thought would be, the most I could imagine for that kind of an animation would be drinking some kind of healing elixir or something like that she brings out of the Manifest. But if not that, just opening the Manifest and, like, holding her hand on it, and then there's, like, a charge of power to heal her up. Either way, it depends what I find easier to animate and what I think looks better. Since I do have to, I have to work within my means, since I am just one guy with limited artistic talent, for lack of a better term. So, I am trying to design within my means. But regardless, at least the Manifest gives me a bunch of options for that. Ooh, I have a long message to read. 1 second. Let me assume the position. Read this message. As Apollo. Here is Fear is freedom. Subjugation is liberation. Contradiction is truth. Pawn shots first. Earth is flat. The moon is flat. Men are women. Women are men. Ryoko is a jelly bean. The white zone is for loading and unloading of luggage only. There is no parking in the white zone. Copper nickels and bran sandwiches are delicious. B is hot leaf juice. I am vengeance. I am the knight. I am Batman. Those are the fats of this world, and you will surrender to them, Dio. Now take this. 20 meteor radius emerald splash. My goodness, Copper Nicholson. How do you come up with these things? It's a good question, Snowflake. Of course you can ask what the Manifest is. I know I tread lightly on things that may or may not contain potential spoilers, but if it's just talking about I can talk about the Manifest in general terms, since it does play a significant role in the gameplay and the story. So the Manifest it looks like a book, but it has a lot more capabilities than your typical book. The best way I can describe its abilities is it has the ability to source more information than all of the libraries that have ever been created by humankind. And you might be asking yourself, well, okay, does that mean it's a tome for infinite knowledge? No, in fact, it's like a very, 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 very tiny percentage of its total size is actually used to store any kind of, we'll say, knowledge or information beyond the notes of a position in an ancient society known as the Oracle. However, you might be saying, okay, so you have this book that contains absurd amounts of information, and yet it doesn't use that for storage for the most part. What is its purpose then? Well, the thing is, my thought is, if you could describe something in such immense detail, I'm talking at the molecular level, if you could truly describe it well enough, both in design and substance and the essence of it, then you can recreate it. So in the case of the Manifest is capable of storing and retrieving mass amounts of information at an unprecedented rate in order to store or retrieve objects or other pieces of matter. So I should clarify, it's to store or retrieve matter. Now,
Like this. They pass right through.
there we go. Now you might say, okay, wouldn't that mean that the manifest could create like infinite objects or something like that? My answer to that is no. Even though the manifest has the capability to like store and retrieve matter, it's limited in, we'll say, size to about what you could fit in a closet. So it's not like you could store a cruise ship and pull it out of this little book. That would be a bit ridiculous. But the other aspects to it is okay, now we can get there. Is that there are some other rules guiding how this works to prevent it from being like this overpowered. I can just pull anything out of a hat, basically. So,
Come with me.
first major thing to know about the manifest is let's say I have an apple. There's a couple of things I can do with the manifest. One is I could stand the apple, which would then have the memory for an apple, like a physical apple, inside the manifest. And then that manifest could reconstruct that apple from memory. Now, if I reconstruct just a stand of the apple or a very vivid description of an apple, all what will happen is the manifest will be using up some of its, I think I called it matter bandwidth or something like that, to recreate the apple. But the thing is, because it is just a stand written only in the manifest, that matter bandwidth is constantly... And I have to restart the level. Gosh darn it. I'm sorry, chat. It's just when I talk about this kind of stuff, I do get distracted. Funny you should ask that, Snowflake. So, the manifest is not limited to inorganic matter. And if you describe something well enough and you have enough information about it, and as long as it can fit inside of a closet, then the only limits to the manifest are the complexity of the matter it's trying to recreate and the amount of time it will take to recreate. So obviously, a simpler object, let's say a single piece of wood, is going to be a lot easier to recreate and a lot faster to recreate than, say, a very, very complex souffle. But both can be recreated, provided you can fit them in a closet. And provided that there isn't, another... There isn't, that the material bandwidth is still sufficient to do what you're trying to accomplish. Why am I trying to break that wall? So that I can potentially reach some of the other time rifts, Emoji Maker 55. I think only the purple rift spawns behind the wall. My mistake, Emoji Maker 55. I guess I don't have to do that yet. Thanks for the tip. But yeah, Snowflake. Basically, any matter. Doesn't matter if it's we'll say a physical object or something organic. If it's described well enough or scanned well enough, and you have enough time to recreate it, and there's enough material bandwidth for the manifest to do that, bearing in mind more complex pieces of matter will take longer to recreate, then yes, it can do that. But, as I was saying, if the information for a piece of matter, like say an apple, is only scanned or written in the manifest, then when that apple is recreated, it's actually just being recreated from the material bandwidth of the manifest. And what that means is, if you were to try and say, eat that apple, it would have no nutrition. It would have no nutritional value, or its nutritional value would only last until the manifest, we'll say, recalls that material bandwidth. So it's a pseudo-apple, if you will. On the other hand, if you took the same physical apple and actually placed it within the manifest itself, like dematerialized it within the manifest, then when you pull that same apple out, it's like taking that apple out of like a lunchbox. Does that make sense, Snowflake?
Hello there. You look new around here.
So, for storage capacity, you can think of it as like a really extremely efficient portable closet. Or as a way to temporarily create something that you've scanned or described. Now, and no, Snowflake, I would say you wouldn't be able to make another manifest from the manifest because trying to create because that would require more material. It would require, I'll think of it like this. The manifest is an extraordinarily complex object because it has such high storage capacity. And no matter how efficient of an object it is, if it tries to recreate itself, that's going to require slightly more material bandwidth than it's capable of producing. So in essence, you could not recreate the manifest from within inside the manifest. It's like the paradox you see from Portal 2, I think, where they ask, does a set of all sets contain itself? And the answer to that question is, well, depends. Yep, that's probably a good thing. Exactly, Snowflake. Trying to remember, where is the... Oh, right, the water tower is this way. Good question, Copper Nicholson. You'd be able to make the components, most of the components of the manifest, but of a new manifest, but you wouldn't be able to like put it together or make it functional. So, and even if hypothetically you could, let's say you had an 100% efficient system with the manifest to make a second manifest. Well, guess what? What you've essentially done is used up all the bandwidth of one manifest to temporarily make a second manifest, which defeats the purpose of having the first one in the manifest in the first place. Okay. So I think that'll do with those pawns. That's a good point, Snowflake. I hesitate to use the word pseudo because it's not like the object is fake. It's real. It has the same properties as another object. So we'll say if I had a wooden chair that I stand in the manifest and then recreate it with the manifest, it would still burn like a regular chair. It would still feel like the same chair. The only difference is it is temporary. So, or rather, it's limited by the manifest. So, how do I describe that? I mean, you can think of it as like an after image of the object, or we'll say a temporary existence of the object. But life is temporary too, so in a way it's just different. I think I would call that a manifested object. Does that make sense, Snowflake? Or a manifested matter, as opposed to regular matter. But before we continue, we're starting the pipe with 70 pawns, we're starting this time with 70 pawns. This is the amount of pawns it took to get here. Without further ado, let's see if we can complete this area pawnless. But yeah, I actually like that. I think just calling it like manifested matter as opposed to just matter would help give context to it. So an object that you put inside the manifest and pull back out is of course matter, whereas we'll say matter that you scan or write into the manifest or describe in the manifest and then use the manifest to create would be manifested matter. Honestly, thank you for asking these questions, chat. I've already written a bunch of details about this book called The Manifest for my game, but you guys are helping me answer other lingering questions that could come up. So, yeah, thank you all so much.
Yeah.
I guess the follow-up question will obviously be, well, okay, Antomicx, so why did you bother describing this really complex book that Dorothy has? Well, the manifest, in essence, provides an actual narrative reason for Dorothy to be able to switch between different weapons and pull out healing items and things like that. Ooh. There we go. Ponless! Let's go! Sorry to make that confusion, Snowflake. What I meant by that it wouldn't have an actual nutritional value, what I meant to say is it has nutritional value the same as a regular apple. The only difference is that nutritional value is not permanent. Because if the manifest were to say exceed its material bandwidth, then all the manifested objects will be deconstructed. Think like instant matter collapsing when it hits water in Crossroad. So, if someone were to say eat a manifested apple, they might have that nutritional value temporarily, but as soon as that apple is, we'll say, the manifested material is recalled, then any nutritional value they gained was immediately lost. So it would not make sense to eat a manifested apple, as opposed to an apple that was stored in the manifest. And I like that app player. Let's keep that. And that's an excellent philosophical question, Snowflake. Would a manifest made by the manifest have the same powers as the original? Well, that would be an interesting question, because you'd have to be able to describe this incredibly miraculous book well enough to actually be able to recreate it. So if you could do that, then that in itself would be a feat. So even if you just got the description slightly off, no, it would not be the same. But if you got that description perfect, well, then it's a gray area. Okay, we did the pipe. Eve is that one. There we go. Alright. Good question, KK Sparks. There are still 40 hourglasses left. We have a long way to go. Oh, you're right, KK Sparks. I did forget to bring that up. For those who don't know, KK Sparks is working on a webcomic that's based, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, KK Sparks, but I think your comic is based off of the fan universe known as Council of Voices, which was created by one of my favorite YouTubers, Nico B. And I believe it stars Mayuri from Steins Gate as the main protagonist, and KK Sparks has shown me some of her storyboarding and work so far, and it's really coming along, and I wish her the best of support with working on that webcomic. Where is this one? That one's in the castle. Okay. A good question, Snowflake. So for the sake of gameplay, I would say most of the time Dorothy would scan things. Or actually either scan or we'll say dematerialize things. So if it's, we'll say, knowledge that could be used for later, let's say some information written on a wall or something like that, that'd probably be scanned. If it's, we'll say, a weapon that you're getting as a new weapon after defeating a boss, you're probably going to dematerialize that so that it's yours now. But that basically provides a narrative reason for Dorothy being able to carry a bunch of different weapons and switch between them using nothing but a menu. And in fact, the menu I have for Dorothy, like her stat menu and stuff, actually looks like the inside of a book. So it's implying that it's actually the manifest that Dorothy is seeing her stats in and being able to switch stuff between. I agree, Emoji Maker 55. A manifest created from a manifest would probably be, probably not be as effective as the original manifest.
Top of that thing.
Let's see if we can get to... I really think the other one's over there. But we'll have to double check, because I think the castle is... Is that the castle? I don't remember, but we'll find out. Good question, Snowflake. So, to use the manifest properly, you have to hold the book open and essentially either select it as though it's like a touch screen on an iPad, or think about what you're looking for. It's much faster to think about it than it is to actually use the touchscreen, but that's only if you know how to use it. And Dorothy learned how to use the manifest from... That's a spoiler. I guess not. Dorothy would have learned how to use the manifest from the Oracle. And that's about as far as I can say on that, because more information would be actually going into the story of the game. And while I like talking about the game, I don't want to reveal so much story that then there's no story to when the game actually is playable. Oh, right, I can walk on the fence here. There we go. Oh, we don't need to unlock the fire, we just need to get up there. Okay. Now let's see. Okay. Let me up. I see pawns. That's a big no-no. Maybe if I jump on that spider and then try to... Well, that didn't work. Maybe that cliffside? Nope. This could actually be pretty tricky because of all those pawns. I'm glad you understand, Snowflake. Oh, cool. Nice, KK Sparks. You're on page 20 of your first volume. That's awesome. Like, it just amazes me how much artwork has to go into a comic. Like, I can't even imagine trying to draw that much. Oh no, Snowflake, the questions are not annoying at all. I really enjoy them. It's a lot of fun talking about what I'm working on. Yeah. Maybe if or any way I can, like, jump around the... If not... Oh. Come on. Yes! Let's go! That's awesome. Dive. Perfect. Let's go. To the village. Alright. So we're starting this time with 70 pawns. This is the amount of pawns it took to get here. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Hey guys, it's Star Town. Thank you so much for dropping by. How's it going? Oh, you saw the jump? Yeah, that was really spooky, but I was so glad to get through that jump. And you've been working on the comic since July. That's really cool, KK Sparks. I mean, what I find interesting about this is you're not the only one who started, like, a major project that you're super invested in this, we'll say, middle-ish of 2020. I think the earnest work I started working on my game, for example, actually might have even been as early as March. It's crazy to think just how much can change it over like a 6-month plus time frame when you're really working on a project, right, KK Sparks? I remember when I first started working on Heartwell, which is the name of the game I'm developing. It's didn't have a name, and I was just using a bunch of boxes to try and mess with the platforming mechanics and trying to do a pseudo 3D platforming movement. I imagine, well, what was it like in the early days for you, KK Sparks, with working on your comic? Was it just a lot of writing and storyboarding? Were you just drawing things, not really sure where things would go? Oh, fair enough, KK Sparks. Oh, glad you like the name, Snowflake. Let's step that. There we go! Ponless! And you can even reach the timer with Ponless. Let's go! That's... Yes! That looks so good. Chat, isn't that an adorable ice hat? It's like a little ghost box. Aww, it's so cute. Isn't this precious, chat? Isn't it? I can understand that, Snowflake. Honestly, I think it's better to try and work on a project first, and then if you happen to come up with a name with it along the way, that's probably fine. I mean, I know I didn't have the name for my current project for months until after I had started it. Let me update the pawn counter real quick. We did the village. Hero. Nice. Yep, that kid is always cute. That is a fact, Snowflake. So it's like your kind of development process, KK Sparks, is you start drawing first and then you begin going into rain. I guess that makes sense. Especially if you're more attuned with, we'll say, doing artwork first rather than storyboarding. For me, it's kind of the opposite. I actually really like writing things out first in incredible detail than actually developing something first. And I guess that's because that's the project engineer trying to micromanage and things like that. But whatever, honestly, do what works best for you if you're working on your own personal project. Yo, why is the start town? You're starting to actually design, test an engine? That's awesome. If you don't mind me asking, what kind of engine or what kind of game engine are you building as at Startown? I'd really be interested to hear about it. Ah, okay, fair enough, Snowflake. So you've been working on a story since 2013, but it's been on and off. Okay. So we're starting your contract as inspired with 70 pawns. This is the amount of pawns it took to get here. Without further ado, let's try and complete this level Ponless. Fair enough, KK Sparks.
That wasn't a coincidence. It popped off the moment he stopped being useful to me.
Oh, well, I guess that means that's not going to happen to me, right, Snatcher? Right? I'm useful, aren't I?
And guess who else just became obsolete? That's right. You.
Obsolete? I unclogged the toilet that you put my soul into. If that doesn't show dedication, I don't know what does.
Now let's let possessed outhouse isn't bothering me anymore, and all those contracts of yours are tidied away, I don't need you around. Besides, you didn't think I was gonna let you keep all
Yeah,
this
storyboarding is
time.
a skill you just have to develop over time, KK Sports, and the only way to do that is just by continuing to do it over a long period of time. Experience is the best teacher. Oh, cool! It's something in Unreal Engine 4. That's awesome. As it starts out, going to be a 3D dolphin engine. Nice. There's a lot you can do with that. Hey, that's perfectly fine as it starts out. That was kind of how, like, developing the game engine I was working on was, and still working on, went, because it was, I was trying to mess with mechanics and see what I could do as a programmer myself and what was kind of beyond what I was capable of. Oh, and for those who don't know, Snatcher stole our hat, which means we don't get hat powers for this boss fight. Wait, no hat powers? Oh no. This could be bad. Well, yeah, that usually designates that I can attack you, so are you gonna turn blue? Is the next part of your attack phase?
Sorry, kiddo. Blue doesn't suit me. And I guess that makes me invincible, huh? That's too bad.
Wait, so you're saying that even if I punch you as hard as I can, it won't do anything? This is the worst timeline. This is definitely the worst timeline. I agree as it starts out. This is such a great boss fight. It has so much charm to it. It's reasonably challenging, though I wish it were a little bit longer. However, it is, as you can see by the dialogue, it's just so funny. That one's sure totally good. Come on, give it a chance. Hey, I'm Sabo. Thank you so much for dropping by. How's it going? Welcome to your contract has expired while trying not to collect pods. Oh yeah, that's right. We also don't get badge effects for this either, but that's not too big of a deal considering we weren't really relying super heavily on those anyway. Besides the come on. Thank goodness. Okay. And yeah, the music is so good.
Did you just color me blue with my own attack?
Potion in your 55. If each potion hit drops upon, we'd be done. Hey, Luigi Damien 64. Thank you so much for dropping by. How's it going?
Right? Surely this doesn't count.
Oh, you bet it counts. This is a technicality, but guess what? I already learned how to break the fourth wall all back from that penguin and wearing the cool shades. So you know what? It's time for some punching snatcher.
That does it. Time to die!
I couldn't agree more. I unclogged your toilets, and now I'm going to unclog you. There we go. Now that's very, very scary. I don't remember how many hits it is to snatch it. I remember not being as many as I would have thought for a boss that's this intricate. Oh dear. All the attacks. Everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. Or not. Yes! Let's go!
Please, have a seat. All these timepieces landed in my forest. They are my property.
They are not yours, Snatcher. They're my junk, and I need that junk to get back to Planet France. Come on.
So, let's make a deal, young lady. You get out of my forest, and we never see you again. How's that sound for a deal?
Doesn't really seem like a deal. You didn't give me my junk back yet.
Not a fan.
Exactly, Luigi Gaming says before. It is. Now we can have our soul back, hopefully. What do you mean I don't get to make the calls here? Here, I just proved that I just punched a ghost. Do you understand how powerful that makes me?
Make it easier for you. Now, all that's left is for you to sign it.
Oh, I'll look over your deal, but first, I have to read a message from Topper Nicholson. Yo, listen up, here's the story about a little guy that lives in a blue world, and all day and all night, and everything he sees is just blue, like him, inside and outside. Blue is his house with a blue little window and a blue Corvette, and everything is blue for him. Yes, that's right. I like to sing about blue things. Things like my future wife, Leia. Also, blueberries. I just love the color blue so much. It is objectively the best color. And himself and everybody around, because he ain't got nobody to listen. That's right, everything is blue. That was an interesting message, Topper Nicholson. Let's examine this a little bit closer. I don't know. Maybe... Actually, you know what? Let's change this a little bit. Stay and have fun. Be nice. Oh, and I want all of my junk back, Snatcher. Well, also, why not? Be my BFF.
You understand that's not how contracts work, right?
You understand that I don't understand how contracts work, right?
There's no catches.
I'm too young for that.
Clauses this time. What if I give you your soul back? Will that make you leave?
Luigi Gaming 64, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. And yeah, we got our soul back. Let's go. But it's still not our junk. Once I got my soul back, I feel relieved, energized, and just the usual amount of empty. Oh no, KK Smarts is saving sandwiches for someone to take control of the stream. Oh no.
Hello? Are you there? Why aren't you saying anything?
Exactly as it starts out, if only.
You're quite the character, aren't you? And a tough negotiator.
Oh, sorry, Luigi Jr. Gaming 64, my mistake. I guess that's one way to put it. I mean, I am an agent of chaos, and well, aren't I adorable?
Fine. I'll sweeten the deal for you.
Is it my junk? Thank you.
Here, take my last timepiece. If I continue to see you around my forest after this, I'll be very disappointed.
Oh, don't worry, Snatcher. I'm going to make sure you're going to be disappointed. But for now, I'll just take my junk and leave. Ponless. Alright, Chad, I think that wraps up Subcon Forest. Let's take a look at the chart and see where this puts us. Okay, well, I mean, we saw that purple time rift, but in terms of, like, the main time rifts, we actually... I find it funny that, Chapter 3 is the first one we do the main timepieces for, like, all of them. We didn't do Mafia Town or the Battle of the Birds completely full. But Subtown Forest is just such a fun area. Yeah, I agree, Luigi Jr. or Damien 64. Exactly. Now it's not, let's take our junk. Really, I'm sad, but I never noticed that. I'll have to look at that the next time something like that comes up. I'm trying to read it backwards. Let's see. We need 14 timepieces to enter Alpine Skyline. By my count, 1, 4. Subtown Forest was 6. So that's 10. And we have enough time rifts for that. Alright, yeah, so we have more than enough time rifts. We have more than enough timepieces to enter Alpine Skyline, even if we subtract the actual levels themselves that required pawns. So that's something. Since so far 3 levels we've done have required pawns in some capacity. So we have enough. Alright, chat, it's time for a new area. I am going to need the hookshot badge for this area, though, because it is it's mandatory. Now, the reason that's there is supposed to teach us through gameplay that you need the hookshot to go here, but as you can clearly see, we don't need it, we can just use that. And yep. Exactly, Luigi Jr. Gaming 64. Oop. So, the thing about Alpine Skyline is, I feel that it has the weakest story in A Hat in Time of all the areas. And by that I mean, it doesn't really have a story until, I guess, maybe the very end, but even then it is extremely bare bones. But, now you might be saying, since I really enjoy story, that would put this area pretty low for me, and the answer to that question is kinda. It's kind of in the middle of the path for me, because on the one hand, Alpine Skyline has the most bare-bones story. But on the other hand, as you can see, for one, this place is gorgeous. If you can just look at this aesthetic, it's just... The mixture of the flats with the mountaintops of snow is so cool. And the other thing is, this, Alpine Skyline has one of my favorite levels in the entire game in it, even though it has no story to it whatsoever. It is just so brilliantly designed. And if we can get to it this stream, I would very much like to show you guys it. But yeah, currently we're doing alright on the pawn count, I think. Yep. Let's see if we can get to the Alpine Skyline proper without doing this. Without collecting pawns. And speaking of which, the other unique thing about Alpine Skyline, or I guess it was unique until Yakuza Metro came out, is that there is no set one correct way to go through Alpine Skyline. The 4 main timepieces before the finale, you can collect them in any order. So this was Gears for Breakfast's first attempt at exploring at the free roam concept for timepiece collection. And while there were, I didn't think they do it as well here as they did with Yakuza Metro, because it feels like on Alpine Skyline there are just 4 linear paths that each have a timepiece at the end. With Yakuza Metro, they kind of perfect what they did here with kind of intertwining all the levels together in different ways to make it feel like a more interconnected world. Oh, it reminds you of something. That's World Cup Nicholson, and the bells are really cute. But how are we going to get past this? Look at this setup, chat. This is awful. Oh dear. Nope. I did not I need to hard commit to that dive and see if we can make it regular running. If not, then we're going to have to try shenanigans. That's not true, Snowplay. We got this. The hook shot is one of the few badges in the game that you do not need to purchase. You actually doubt that? We actually doubt that from Subcon well. So, we're fine with the hook shot. It's more so that we're trying... I don't want to use the hook shot there, because if we do, we're collecting a pawn, and that's a no bueno. Alright, first thing I'm going to try is just a hard dive. So, jump, dive. Ooh. That's either going to be frame perfect, or we're going to have to try shenanigans. Yeah, exactly, Luigi Jr. Gaming 64. This might be a problem. That is true, Emoji Enter 55. Subcon Forest is kind of, sort of free roam. I mean, it does have structure to it, but you can also just wander around a lot. Whereas this tried its best to be free roam, but does feel a bit linear with just how spacious everything is. Okay, dumb idea. Can we stand on the hookshot platforms? I don't think we can. But it's worth a shot. Okay, nope, we phased right through them. Although, I just thought of something. If we wall run and then try to side hop at the last second, that might work. We'll just have to try and set it up. Ooh, actually, Emoji Maker 55, if I'm struggling... If it takes me more than 10 minutes of attempts at this, I would definitely consider your help there. Luigi Jr. for short. Okay, sounds good. Luigi Jr. Gaming 64. I do have to... I'm going to keep trying to do this jump. I have to take a quick break to get some water. Don't worry, everybody. I'll be right back. Alright, welcome back everybody. I think everyone should be back by now. Exactly, Snowflake. The whole fun of a challenge run like this is the shenanigans that arise on trying to get creative. Because a simple jump like this with the hook shot is supposed to be super easy, but because of the pawns, now it becomes a lot more difficult. It becomes like a little puzzle to solve. And yeah, that is true. We could potentially try like a hook shot, sort of like get it for just a half a second, then jump off it. But I think I'm going to try the wall jump tech first. Oh dear. Ooh, that doesn't get me quite as close as I would have liked. So there are some other ideas I have. Not completely out of ideas yet. Oh, I wonder, does that mask have collision? It does. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I just some of the timepieces in the set, like the riffs in this area can be kind of weird, but it's Gary's trying to be a bit more spiritual, I guess. Come on. If there's some way I can stand on that could change things. Yep. Exactly, it is big brain time, Luigi Jr. Can we stand there? No? Okay. I think that deck is actually a little bit higher than this, so... I can't believe I didn't stand here, but okay. Please? No. Okay. What about those bushes? No, Copper Nicholson, no. Tea is a much better thing, from what I've heard. Okay, let's see if we can get onto that bush. Oh. That might have potential. Copper Nicholson, we try not to talk about substances or things like that, so consider this your warning. Oh, come on, come on, come on! Damn, that's something hacked in. What is going on? Okay, can we down that branch? Or is that branch just not a thing? The branch probably doesn't have collision. Jump at the wall, then wall jumps it? Yes, let's try that. I'm Sapo. Or we can just, you know, jump off a cliff and hope for the best. Try this again. Well, actually, Luigi Jr., I think, yeah, A Hat in Time is, it came out for other systems, I think. Did A Hat in Time have a Switch release? Because I thought it did. Maybe I'm misremembering there, but I swear, like, A Hat in Time came to another console. Yep, there's the floor. It's just really, really, really far down. Sadly, I'm Sapo. God. Nah. If we get to the far bush, we might be able to do that, but it's just such a long jump. Okay, we've proven that the stick does not have collision. And I don't think we can get on top of that mast from here, so... yeah, no. We're gonna have to try and figure something else out. Unless there's some way for us to, like, dive from here to the mast. Which might be doable? Maybe? Nah. And that was close to a pond. Ah, okay, fair enough, Luigi Jr. Good question, Copper Nicholson. I'd say 80% of the way through Ready Player 2. It's getting really intense towards the end. Wait, does this pole have collision? It does. Chat, there may be a solution here. It all depends on whether or not I can get atop this pole. That's over a very, very tall cliff. I don't like where this is going, Antomicx. Hush, Emily. Oh, looks like I can't wall run on that. No wall run collision. Unless... that's a bit too far. Alright, I guess the next thing to try would be to attempt hookshotting for brief seconds and then trying to use our momentum where we can. Oh, actually, wait a minute. Can we hit that bush from here? Will that bush even... Uh-oh. Look at this, chat. We can get down here. This is interesting. How does this help us? Wait. Is this progress? Yes! Let's go! If not for that bush, we would have had to resort to some other speedrunning tactics. Looks like that wasn't the jump. I feel like not the progress you wanted. Exactly, Seppo. I got so excited. I forgot that wasn't the jump we're worried about. No. Okay, what if? Because the way this works is it kind of carries our momentum like we're on a swing. Oh dear, no. I'm going to try and go for the far one. Get it for like a brief second, then dive for the platform.
Yeah.
And that failed spectacularly. We have to restart. Okay, fair enough, KK Sparks. Sounds good. Hope you have fun with Animal Crossing and enjoy the meteor shower. Have a great night, KK Sparks. Okay, Emoji Maker 55, if you're still here, I would be interested to hear about that speedrunning tactic I think involves the sprint hack. Oh, you found a way to do it without it. That's great. What did you do? Pons and 71. Alright, go to a section with a tricky jump. I'll make my way back up there. Emoji Maker 55. Okay, I'm here. Now what? Oh my goodness, Hat Kid is smut dancing so slowly. Or any way to speed this up. Alright, there's 2 sticks out of the ground, a tiny bit back. Okay, are you referring to, so I didn't think of 2 sets of sticks. Are you referring to the sticks, we'll say, over here? Like, further down the stairwell? Or are you talking about the 2 sticks that are beneath the platform over there? Oh, no, you mean those 2. Oh. Hang on. I think I see what you're going for here. Okay. These 2 sticks, right? Yeah. It's gotta be those. So let's just, yep, stay on those. Okay, I'm guessing from here, mask, then to the bushes. Yeah, that has to be it. So we get up here, then we go to bushes. And then we just catch our way around. Let's go! That was... Thank you so much for the advice, Emoji Maker 55. That was really helpful. Oh, that would be a neat Easter egg. If the smut dance sped up when the time stuff happened. I don't think it does, but that'd be cool if it did. Now that we're up here, there's something I have to do. around here somewhere. Oh, there. Wait, no! Please? I hope this works. Oh dear. No! This is literally our worst nightmare. No! Why? Alright, so the problem, chat, is that we've already established that the reach on the umbrella is ridiculous, and it collects pawns. So if we hit that thing with the umbrella, then it's going to force us to get pawns. Okay, so there is a way around this. Yeah, the laser badge might actually get that, but we can't buy that, so... But there is a way around this, is what you're trying to get across, emotion. Okay. If I had to guess... Do we just, Okay, so it's going to be that thing right there that spawns in the... Oh, it requires some glitchiness, so it's not like just diving off a cliff and hoping you respawn somewhere else. Alright. I'm going to try something. I'm just going to try diving off a cliff. If that doesn't work, it probably won't. Just try a trick into thinking I was supposed to be at the other place. Nope. Okay. Well, I guess it's going to be a game of how few pawns can we hit with our umbrella while also hitting that thingy. Well, in that case, let's make it our goal to try to only get one pawn if we can. Not sure if that's going to work, but we'll give it a shot. And then this should be like an area we revisit if we're so inclined. Alpine Skyline, why you do this? Like, after coming so far in this, or in the start of this area, to have this happen. No. That's true, I'm Sabo. After we go up the zipline, we never return here. And I don't think we can just come back either, so... Well, don't get me wrong, it's good game design to put the pawns there to grab our attention, but in the case of this challenge run, this is very, very, very bad. Okay. What we're going to do... Okay, we can hit that. I just want to see if we can hit... Can't even hit it without, Alright. Clearly, we need to do some experimenting here. I want to see if there's... Yeah, it's that Bam Sabo. It looks like we're going to have to try and see if we can get just 2 or fewer. I'm not just going to accept 4 pawns, Copper Nicholson. I want to at least exhaust every option I can think of. Because there's the cards in back up there. I have another idea, but it just involves, Well, first I'm going to try and get a pixel-perfect landing with the brewing hat to see if that does anything. I don't think it will, but who knows? Maybe the potion bottle itself has collision. I update the counter. That's... Yep, I updated the counter. 25 points. Oh, there are multiple posts hit? No. Good to know, I'm Savo. It depends on what it is, Copper Nicholson. I'm a firm believer in giving something your absolute best shot before you accept how the way things are. And I don't think we've quite done that yet. And that's true, I'm Savo. Challenge runs are all about not accepting things. The game tells us we need pawns, and I say, hey, let's try it and see if we can't. Or the game says you need experience points, and I say, let's do it at level 1. Okay, we're still at 75 points, so that's good. There's always another option. We can always just go onto the Hat in Time subreddit and ask for Gears for Breakfast to push this area closer to the actual hub area. Would that work? No, but we can dream, can't we? Or petition them to remove pawns. Oh, there we go. That's the answer. We just petition Gears for Breakfast to remove pawns entirely. That would completely solve our problems. I'm just kidding. This is a fun challenge. Alright, so... Wait a minute. We can't, like, attack in midair is the issue. I was just thinking, like, if there was some way for us to be lower than the pawns yet still hit the pipe, that might be... That might work. Right now, I am trying to see if maybe landing a perfect potion throw will work. It does not seem to be working. Next idea is, of course, the ice hat. Try to inch our way closer. Doesn't seem to be working. Alright, final idea I have before we just try to aim for 2 pawns just from hitting. Yeah, exactly, I'm saying. Land on top. Yes, maybe, just maybe, if this is anything like the faucets in that one Mafia Town level, we might be able to hit from the top. Alright. Try to land on this. Okay, so we can land on it. If I attack it like... Okay, those pawns are... We can land on it and get like 2, but I'm curious if we were like to walk to the edge. No, that wouldn't work. As you can see, chat, it's not doing a thing, and yeah. All right, we're gonna have to aim for 2 pawns then. Back to the beginning. Good question, Snowflake. I'm going to design the game to... I'm going to design Heartwell to, first and foremost to... I'm trying to be a game I would enjoy playing, so try to keep with the fundamentals of good game design where I can. But as for challenge runners, depends. I mean, there's easily one to make a challenge run simply by using any particular weapon of your choice, or only a single weapon without upgrading it, for example, or using some of the harder to use weapons. There'd also be things like no healing and stuff. So, like Dark Souls, you would just have a bunch of things you can just do because of the nature of the game itself, with having all the choices and weapons and how you approach battles and such. And the fact that I'll try to allow things to progress in a, I'll say, a less linear fashion. So rather than just falling in a straight line, giving like different areas you can go to, like in Dark Souls 1, I'd say. So in Dark Souls 1, you can, I think once you get out of the tutorial area in Dark Souls 1, you have like 6 or 7 different areas you can reach all from the start, and or maybe not all from the start, but just from one central location. And to me, that's just so cool. So it'd be more like you get to a crossroads, and then you'd have a choice between which, we'll say, major dungeon to go to. I say dungeon to refer to like a major level. And of course, then the dungeons themselves will have their own layouts and such. But in terms of going to any particular dungeon, you'd be able to... There would usually be a branching path to choose one dungeon over the other. So ultimately, I would encourage like full exploration, just like Dark Souls. Full exploration, of course, is the most rewarding. I've heard of Pin Particles, Copper Nicholson. That's Ant-Man lore, right? Alright, so we're still on 79 pawns, that's good. Our goal is to make that thing spin without only collecting 2 pawns. If we can do that, that'll be a major accomplishment. But no, Copper Nicholson. I'm not going to. I already laid it out in at the start of the challenge and rule set that we're not allowed to use mods that could possibly aid our gameplay in any way. So whether that's changing movements or making our hitbox smaller or anything like that, like nothing like that. But mods that, like, for example, you can see Cat Kid has orange hair here. That's fine. Cosmetic stuff is fine, but stuff that actually changes the gameplay. Good question, Snowflake. Do I ever just play my quote-unquote game prototype? I'd say no, besides for playtesting, just because there isn't really much to play. It's just a testing environment at the moment. So, it'll be more like, I guess the most expensive... No, we gotta try that again. The most I would do would be, maybe I start with it and run the engine just to see how things are doing, and then go to programming. It'll be cool to eventually reach the point to actually have something to play. Just for fun, but not quite there yet. You don't realize how much back-end work you have to do to make various RPG mechanics until you actually do it yourself. Like, just tabulating, retrieving information and such, and having it all make a tangible difference in-game. A lot goes into that. Alright. Stay at the pawn counter. I'll keep that in mind, Copper Nicholson. I'll try to keep that in mind too, stuff like. Honestly, there's something I've been thinking about, and feel free to share your thoughts, chat. I have been thinking about possibly creating some kind of Discord server based off of, well, what we have here. So both the Twitch channel and for, of course, game dev stuff. Since I have seen, I've seen other developers use Discord servers, including Crosscode, mind you, and even, yeah, Crosscode did this, and I think that one game we played on stream, that small indie team was working on, in which I'll try and Legacy. They have a Discord server too. I think it would be helpful because it would have a place for people to give feedback for the game while also just being help build a community. And if you have no interest in the game, it would also be a place for, like, if you like these, the community here, I guess. The only thing that kind of makes me unsure about creating a Discord server is I obviously can't be on it all the time. I can only interact so much on it. And there is also the fact that I don't have any mods. I don't mean mods as in like gameplay mods, but more so like people to mod this. And what I would probably have to do is look into that myself. trying to respond to requests if anyone like breaks the rule. But I'd be curious to hear, chat, would a Discord server, and if you're on YouTube, I'd be curious to hear, would a Discord server for this Twitch/game dev community be something you're interested in? Feel free to let me know your thoughts in chat or in the comments below on YouTube. Now I'm going to attempt my very best. Try to finesse my way over there. It's such a narrow hitbox. Okay. Oh. Alright. We'll give it one more attempt. If not, then we'll just accept the 4 pawns. But this is all part of the process. That's a good point, I'm Sabo. We do step forward a little bit, so manually crawling forward is unhelpful. In fact, if anything, we might need some way to mark where we are or, like, reset somehow. Or just crawl backwards and try stepping forward again. But yeah, if I did, Copper Nicholson, alright, if I did make a Discord server, I would, of course, have a memes channel, so a place for you all to post your memes, because I enjoy meme channels. It's fun to share memes, but, it'll be a process to try and set up, so I wouldn't expect anything about a Discord server soon, just because it does take a while to set up, but, I'll keep it in mind for sure. That was my bad, chat. It happens sometimes. It does happen. Good question, Snowflake. I'd say it's still worth it. For a couple reasons. One is, I know that Copper Nicholson and Grektor, for example, have, like, actually message each other outside of Twitch. And they met we'll say they met each other online thanks to, of course, these Twitch streams. So having a Discord server would allow, we'll say, Twitch friends. So, for example, Copper and Grektor to more easily communicate with each other, as well as potentially other members of the Twitch chat or in addition to that, it would also be an opportunity it would open up some new opportunities for streaming. For example, I saw King Bahamut, and even the History Kid to another extent, they both, those who don't know, those are two Twitch friends of mine. They use their Discord server as a way to actually chat with some members of the community when they have, like, community days. And I think that's really cool. So it would have that utility as well, if we ever did some kind of utility day. Or, not utility day, some kind of community day. And finally, it would also be another place to get a reminder about the Twitch streams, I think. And it'd be an easier way to reach me unless you have a Twitter and just want to message me on Twitter. So I think there's still value into it. Not to mention, just starting the process of growing a Discord community is a slow but steady process. Okay. Well, let's think about this. How do we want to reset after everything? We can always crawl, but... Okay. Going to back up just a smidge. Great. Turn. Alright. I think that's about as close as I'm going to that, chat, so it's gonna have to be 4 pawns by default. At least. Especially if we have to hit it twice. Okay. Wait, there's another one, isn't there? Oh dear. Alright. Good to know. Right. Okay. That's a... I'm just going to have to call that as a forced 8 pawns at that point. Yeah, you're right, I'm Savo. That was the best we could do, unfortunately. But now that those are down, what's... No, it's a forced 12 pawns. No! No! Wait, what? Oh, no. We just proved that we can actually avoid at least 1 pawn, so... We don't know that. Wait, it's possible. We saw it. Literally the latter half of this stream is just going to be the road to trying to reach Alpine Skyline. Ah, Samurai Emily, exactly. I'm a samurai now. I like that. I like the sound of that. Fair enough, I'm Sabo. You did... it's a lot of fawns, but at the same time, we had such good luck with, Subcom Force. It was only a matter of time before it came back to haunt us. What? Leia is a coup? That doesn't make sense, Topper Nicholson. Leia would never be someone like that. Aye. Uh-oh. You know what, Snowflake? That would honestly be really cool. I mean, if anyone's watching this and likes anime and also enjoys Crosscode and Hat in Time, I think it'd be really cool to see like a fan animation or animat of just Emily doing the smut dance. I think that'd be great. I'm sorry, I'm Savo. I know I messed up. Exactly, Snowplay. Leia has her carnival dance in. Now Emily must have her smut dance. Okay, so the goal then is 9 pawns on those spinny things. Okay, sounds good. I'm Savo. See you soon. That's funny, Copper Nicholson. Let's just head back up to the top of the mountain. Try to line ourselves up with this right here. Then try to go. There we go. What even are the pawns, Snowblast? I think the pawns are some kind of gem. But we actually did that one with only 3, so that's good. Now let's try the other 2. What I'm trying to do is use, like, this, kind of as a marker of sorts. Hey, Centuriers, thank you so much for dropping by. How's it going? Yep, I'm still streaming. Nope, I typically stream till about 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so there's still a bit of time. We've run into a bit of a pickle here because because we cannot get to Alpine Skyline without hitting these spinny things. But unfortunately, there's just pawns all around them, and we have to hit them with the umbrella. There's no other option. Oh, you mean like in real life? My mistake, Snowflake. I thought you meant pawns in a hat time. Alright, so we're at 107, we start with 101. If we can get... We just need to get 3 on this one. This is the hardest one because there's nothing to line ourselves up with. If we can just get, Oh, okay, fair enough. Please. Try and find any kind of marking on the floor we might be able to use. There. So, okay, just one more. Hey, if you need to go to get some sleep, Howard Nicholson, I completely understand. Sleep is extremely important. Let's go! Oh, yes! I never thought I'd be this happy to get 9 pawns, but we did it. We got 9 pawns on those. Let's go. Oh my goodness. What? We're going so high. I remember when I said Alpine Skyline is gorgeous. Look at this place, chat. Look at it. It's beautiful, isn't it? Everything's so blurry because... Oh, actually, now that you mention it, I was trying to mess... I can turn the graphics up. That's no problem at all. Hey. Wait for it. There we go. Now let's crisp. Yeah, the flat's a nice touch of color. So, unfortunately, this means we're going to have to add 9 pawns to just Alpine Skyline in general. So, what I'm thinking, chat, is because, there isn't really a marker I can do for just Alpine Skyline itself. We can do 2 things. Either we can add the 9 pawns as, like, a base amount to the first level we do. Or we can put it on the finale's town. It's still just referencing the fact that, I'll throw it on the birdhouse for the sake of argument, just to say that whichever level you do first, you have a 9 pawn, we'll say, you have to pay just up front because of that unfortunate opening. But even so, we made it. That's better than 12. 9 pawns is better than 12 pawns, so at least we got that going for us. Yeah, this place is just so pretty. it makes me really wish there was more of a story here, because there really isn't.
These telescopes let you look at far away.
Now we just need to navigate this area carefully. Yep, that's true, Cobalt 2. We did manage to get through all of Chapter 3 without collecting any pons. So that was actually really gratifying. And thank you so much for dropping by. How's it going, Cobalt 2? Because, only so much of stream left, I do want to see if we can, and because that took so long, there's 2 ways I can do this, chat. Either I can go for my favorite level in this area, or I can leave it up to you guys. Would you all like to have another poll real quick? Time stop yarn, let's go. Oh, you're watching Games Done Quick, nice. If you don't mind me asking, Cool 2, what speedrun were you watching? Oh yeah, that was my mistake, Copper Nicholson, because I had the graphics set to minimum because I was trying to do a wall breach at one point to test things out. But yeah, I can keep the graphics here, it's no problem at all. You want to see my favorite level? Okay, in that case, we need to go that way. I think you can kind of see it off in the distance, that big windmill. That level is one of my favorites in the entire game, and you guys will see why when we get there. But first, I'm trying to remember how we get there, because this place does get pretty confusing. Maybe... That's not a... I think we have to go through there and make a right, perhaps.
Blow those horns to open up some.
Then we can get there. No, we can't get there without jumping. There's somewhere around here is a way to... or zip line around. Okay, this would help. Good question, Coolwall 2. I wish I knew. Unfortunately, the game doesn't really give us much lore on them, so... Besides that they're super spiritual, and that's about it. Like, I feel like if this place had a more fleshed out story, it would be among the best regions in Hat in Time. But unfortunately, it's, very bare bones. Oh, really? Hat in Time is having a speedrunning tournament soon, or a tournament sometime. That's really cool. Thanks for letting me know, Motion Maker 55. Exactly, Snowfly and Hopper and they chillin', they vibing. Down here. Oh, yarn. Let's go. Alright, let's see if we can reach the windmill then. I'm just having trouble remembering which way is the correct way. It might also just be a bell thing, like maybe there's a bell we have to ring to reach there. 'Cause I swear there should be some kind of... There should be a zip line there. Oh, wait. Hold on. There's something we have to do here, isn't there?
The old windmill is this way.
Yep, so the windmill is this way.
Make sure you swing towards the path you want.
Thanks, but where's the... Okay, but I don't see any, Oh, wait a minute. That's right. He does this in a free roam area. We actually have to find something to activate this.
The old windmill is this way.
Oh, that's a great name, the Boop Troop. Actually, Emoji Maker 55, I hate to ask this is such a dumb question, but where is the way to open up the way to the windmill? It's a button or something somewhere, right? Well, it's boop. It's called the boop troop because, well, that. And also, before it was patched, apparently you could use the boop to more easily, the boop animations more easily clip through walls. Gotta be some way to. That's it. There's a horn on the island. Okay. A horn. Sounds familiar. I'm trying to remember where these horns are. Oh, right. I see a horn. Yeah.
Blow those horns to open up some.
Oh, do it again? Sure. Let's boop. There we go. Why must there be pawns to that horn? Please don't be a force pawn. Please. There we go. Alright, nice. Now we have a waypoint. Alrighty. I also appreciate that because this is meant to be a more free-roaming kind of map, they actually give you clear notifications if you collect all the major stuff in an area. I think. Alright. Now let us begin. And it has different colors to denote it. There's spawns! No! Stay away. Stay away! The zip lines are scary, no! I mean, we managed to get past that without collecting pawns, but darn, that's going to make this a lot harder.
There's a horn at the top.
Alright, so now what we have to do, Chad, is basically... Now it's starting to come back to me. We have to find a bunch of horns to open up a path to the different areas with the timepieces. Alright, we're still going to go on pawns. So, it takes a lot of investments in Alpine Skyline before you can even get the opportunity to play the levels themselves that have the timepieces. I see the horn up there, we just gotta... Don't force me into that pawn. No! It requires a trick called skywalking. Have not heard of that, Emoji Maker 55. But, if any computer can get a pretty decent FPS consistently, I think this one probably could. It's not, we'll say, it's not a supercomputer, but it's pretty good. Unfortunately, we can't go back to the intro at Motion Maker 55. But what we can do is we can at least try to reach the windmill this stream. I feel like, because of how long the windmill is, trying to do it at the end of the stream might not be realistic because there could probably just be pawns everywhere, for all I know. I would like to at least reach the windmill if we can. And that way we can leave the excitement of one of my favorite levels in this game for next stream.
The old windmill is this way.
Alright, first, though, we must avoid the pawns. Thankfully, we can actually swing back and forth. If we couldn't, then the pawn count in Alpine Skyline would skyrocket.
There's a horn at the top.
Okay, so hop over here, jump. That'll be another way up there. Oh dear. Nope. We're good. Thank goodness. Sorry about that, chat. Let's try that again. Yep. That's such a good emote, Snowplay. You just... Okay, we didn't even need to worry about that. It just had to get up there. That's all. Let's get to the horn. Oh dear. Okay, I'm trying to figure out the best way to... I don't think it's from here. I think we actually have to down the... Yeah. Get on the house, and we'll just hop on over. So, like that. Oh wow, so Emoji 55, you're saying that skywalking trick is so difficult that even like a skilled like speedrunner like Albie has trouble with it. That's saying something. For 4 to 5 streams, no less. Wow. I mean, that takes some serious dedication, though, and I think it's really cool that he accomplished it eventually, but darn, I'm just trying to imagine that. And we... Okay, we can stand up here. Look at that, chat. Doing things the wrong way paid off. Now, how that makes any sense, I have no idea, but at least it's possible. Now, I'm not sure if there's a pawn here, so I'm not going to even bother. We'll just do it the normal way. Okay, so now we have to go back and kind of zip around. That could have been scary. Right, we're still down pawns.
The old windmill is down.
I like how they have the little arrows there to kind of show us which way we're going. Right, lean right, lean right. No! I was leaning right! No! We're gonna have to practice that. Oh my goodness. Good question, Snowflay. New techniques for a normal playthrough. I think the bucket glitch would be something I might use in a normal playthrough, just because it seems like you could do a lot of silly shenanigans with it. As for the no clip glitch, I think that's something I would keep in the back of my head, but wouldn't pull out all the time just because I have a lot of trouble with it. But yeah, I do think just learning all these glitches from the speedrunning community does give me a much greater appreciation of the game and the intricacies of it. And just the idea of being able to go to Deadbird Studio before doing Down with the Mafia, I just think it's so cool. Because it means that you could technically get to the final boss without ever actually defeating the Mafia boss, so it would kind of be like a sequence break with when Mafia boss visits on the spaceship. Yep, that's right, Coolball too. The bucket glitch was the one that gave us the height. It doesn't have to be buckets, mind you. I just called the bucket glitch because we used buckets in the stream I did it on. But all it requires is just 2 objects that Hat Kid can pick up. It doesn't matter what they are. You just stack one on top of the other and make sure that the one that starts stacked up on top ends up on the bottom. Stand on the lower one and you just go.
Windmill is this way.
You just gain height. So the tricky part here, chat, is there are pawns throughout this entire subsection. Okay, I think we want to lean right here. No. it to, right? Okay, so we got 2 that time, which isn't bad. It's just like, there's one pawn that I think's like towards the center. It's around a weird curve. Wait, I only have 4 figures? Now, hold on a second. I want a jury reading on this. No, I have 5 fingers. See? Everything is fine. Listen, I may be an alien that looks like a human, but at least I have 5 fingers. Ow. Hey, to be fair, Snowplay, a lot of cartoonish characters tend to have 4 fingers. Not all the time. I think Danny Phantom was an exception where he had 5 fingers.
The old windmill is this way.
Okay. So let's try leaning left. Right. We tried leaning right last... Oh, that's why we keep hitting it. It's... Okay, I see the issue, chat. The issue is that at that specific juncture, it's doing a little S maneuver, so it starts to the left and transitions to the right. So that forces us to get a pawn there. Thankfully, that's the only pawn we have to collect there, so... How did you guess? School wall 2. And Snowflake. That's... My Hode is where my bone is. I've tried to shave it down over the years to... shave the hair around it down, to make it less obvious, but... Very true, it is logic. But that also means I have to update the minimum pawn counts for the windmill, since that one route does require the pawn. It's disappointing, but at least we can... At least it is noted. Now let us try to do. Our goal is simply to reach the windmill this stream, so... all we have to do is just get to the top of here, and maybe there will be another way up. Yeah. Familiar. Even Dweller mask. There's a chest. Hooray for more yarn! Okay, actually, I'm not seeing the thing yet, so there might be a... There's gotta be a horn around here somewhere. My guess is it's probably over there. Could be up there. Probably not up there. Okay, no, it's definitely... Yeah, it's over there. I see it. It was a FOTS previously, but we changed it after we got it out there. But also, now the ice hat is the FOTS. And isn't it adorable? Go over to that platform.
I think this one leads to a hole.
Please no pawns. Please no pawns. Thank goodness.
Take care, kid. I went up ahead and scratched slightly.
Okay, maybe. Just maybe. Please. Let's go! We avoided those mods. Make our way up. One's up there. No, but that's not bouncy either, so. Darn it. Okay, we'll have to do this. That was close. I know there's invisible enemies around here, chat, that steal our stuff, so we have to be very careful. Yep, they have smud faces. Alright, Snowflake, it is alternated. Yep, there was the kitties. As you can see, their little footprints around. I'm trying to avoid them because they can steal our hat, and that would be a big no-no. Would this be where my ancestors come from? Possibly. I wouldn't rule it out for a while too, considering how many like extremely unusual things there are around here that don't make sense. Which, to be fair, is this entire game, but here especially, there's many things that just don't make— No! They stole our hats! Why? Now I have to go get it. I don't know if it's dropping pawns, though. Give me my hat. Okay, thank goodness. And we didn't collect any pawns. Yeah, I'm Savo, so purposely having pawns stolen would not, I don't have enough space to add that to the rules, but for the sake of argument, we'll say that if you get your pawns stolen, that's not like saying removing pawns and suddenly you have negative pawns for a level. That doesn't count. So you can't, like, use the cats as, like, a catch-22 to avoid collecting pawns. Or to quote-unquote undo pawns. No, that would not make sense for the purpose of this run. Just like how buying things in the shop does not, like, count as, like, resetting pawns. And I'm also trying to make sure we aren't buying things in the shop that could be used to, potentially help us. I think it's okay to buy, like, aesthetic things or silly things, but if it's, like, a badge, like the No Monk badge, for example, that's a big no. Yeah, so far, so good. We got that horn without pawns. We're getting up here, hopefully, without pawns. Hopefully. Okay. Now let's hope there aren't any pawns on this trail, because if there are, dear, I see them. Nope. Right, okay, right, left. Let's see here. Are there any pawns? I don't need any. All right, I think we're good. Let's go! The windmill! Yeah, that's right, I'm Savo. But chat. Ooh. First of all, the soundtrack. Listen to that soundtrack. Isn't it glorious? But also, you see how big that thing is? How tall that windmill is? That's not an exaggeration of the level. That's actually how big this level is. Like, the timepiece is at the very, very top floor of that windmill. It's huge. But, that's something we're going to have to save for... I think that's something we're going to have to save for next time, chat. This is one of my favorite levels in the entire game, but we'll get to that next time. So I'll start wrapping things up. And you know what? Let's use the fox hat just for funsies. We did manage to get here to the windmill, the level itself, while collecting only 1 pawn. So we have 1 pawn as a prereq, plus I guess the 9 from the start of Alpine Skyline. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that. If you're watching this on YouTube and you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe on YouTube. It's free. You can always change your mind later, and it's a great way to show support. If you're watching on Twitch, I'll be doing a raid tonight, so feel free to stick around for that. If you're watching on YouTube, you have a great night.